Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Kristen Fanzon. This is the Hidden Doors podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And today we're going to be talking about goals versus systems. Goals versus systems. What do you focus on? A goal or a system? What is it there? What do you do there? There's two schools of thought. And at the end of this video, we also do a word of the day. So stay tuned until the end of the video so you can hear our word of the day. And I hope you enjoy the rest. Okay, so we have goals versus systems. Where this topic came about is I'm on a self-development group. I'm part of a self-development Facebook group. And I posted something, I forget the exact post, but it was something like until your dream is written down and with a deadline, you won't accomplish it, or something like that. It was very goal focused. And to be honest with you, before that, I knew they were important, but I wasn't thinking a ton about habits. And habits is, let's say, another word for systems. Someone replied to that comment and they said they disagreed with me, which I love to hear. I love to hear different thoughts on how to navigate life. They disagreed with me and they said earlier in their life they did focus so much on goals, on deadlines, and then they read a book. I forget which exact book, but then they started to focus more on habits, systems and habits for focusing on every day to get, I guess, where they want to be. And initially I was like, okay, well, I still think goals are important, and I had to take a step back. And so I'm reading this book now. It's called Atomic Habits. I'm going to do a book review on it, a separate podcast book review on it. But it talks Atomic Habits, I think it's called. I think it's called Atomic Habits. And it got me thinking more and more about how to achieve a goal, or how to achieve a mission. And there's two schools of thought, like I said, goals versus systems. I want to take a step back here and just look at the overarching picture, just so it's clear, because I think they're both important, and I think you can't just focus on one side. One side says goals are too short-lived. Like if you're a marathon runner and you want to prepare for a marathon, I want to run this marathon. You can prepare for it, and your goal is to be able to run that marathon. But then after that marathon, that goal is over, as opposed to maybe a system being you're a runner. And if you're a runner, you can compete in any marathon as long as you have that system in place where maybe you run frequently and you exercise often, as opposed to just exercising for a short time just to get a marathon done. The other side of it is, for me, if you don't have a goal, I am a big fan of deadlines. If you listen to this podcast at all, you know that I'm a big fan of deadlines. I truly think if you don't have something in your mind and you're working towards something with a timeline in mind, if you say one day, I hope to be great at my job. One day I hope to do this. One day I hope to exercise. One day I hope to do this. I hope this maybe happens. Then that hope is going to stay hope, and it's not going to come to reality. In my head, if I say, I'm going to do this by the end of the year, I work my butt off. I work my tail off to accomplish that goal by the end of the year. And if I don't reach it by the end of the year, then I change it up, and maybe the goal was way too aggressive and I got to get a little bit more realistic, and then I change the timeline a little bit. But just like Elon Musk does. He does this a lot. You set very aggressive deadlines. You know it's going to be pretty hard to meet that deadline, but the amount of ground you cover because you're trying to meet an aggressive deadline is way more than you would ever have reached if you had a very relaxed deadline. I'll give you an example. When I wrote a book, I don't like bringing my book up as if I'm trying to sell it. I'm not trying to do that here. I'm really just trying to give you an example. So when I wrote my book, I had a deadline in my head of I want to finish the book in like a year and a half. I said I don't want to rush. And then I started to realize every day I wasn't really focusing all my energy, my spare energy, all my spare energy on working on the book. I was doing other things, and that's not how you accomplish something. It's like, oh, one day a week, maybe I'll write a little bit. No, you sit down and you work at it. And I said, no, screw that. I said, we're going to get this done in about 6 months. And so I cut it basically in half or more. And I finished at that timeline, but it also made me work harder, and the quality was better because I put more of my energy and attention towards it every day as opposed to being wish-washy about it. And I believe I finished it quicker. I finished it with better quality, and I may have never finished it because I might have just got sick of it after a year of doing it without a real strong, aggressive deadline. So I'm a big fan of deadlines. I'm a big fan of goals, but I can't deny the fact that habits and systems are super important. And I think what the important thing is to just take a step back and look at the whole picture here. In my head, both people are right. Here's how I would approach it now. This is something that I'm actually going to be changing in how I do my goal setting. Changing up to account for both. But one, you still need to have an overarching mission of where you want to be. I say a mission, it could be a vision, it could be an overarching goal. You call it whatever you want. In 20, 30 years or longer, or just generally who you want to be as a person, you need to have that mission down, because everything that you go for as far as setting a goal, starting a habit, is going to ladder up into trying to be this or trying to accomplish this overarching mission of yours. So I always start with a mission of like, what actually do I want to accomplish? And then I can figure out all my short-term goals and everything else. So first you start with that. I think regardless if you're focused on goals or systems, you need to think about that. You need to think about a long-term vision of what you want to become. Then I always focus on about a handful of important goals that I want to have accomplished over the next 1 to 2 years. This is my thing. You can do. I want to accomplish something in 6 weeks. You can do that, and that's fine. I focus on 1 to 2 years out. Where do I want to be at that point? So overarching mission, then about three to five goals that I want to have accomplished, and they have a deadline. I want to have, for example, on my YouTube channel, I want to have X amount of subscribers by the end of 2022. It's a certain amount, and maybe I want to have a certain amount in my investment account by 2022. Things like that. Now, usually after I had those goals, I would write actions that I would take. Actions that I would take to make those goals a reality, because those goals are still just goals. You need to figure out how are you going to accomplish those goals. Goals are really important to have. They're your North Star. Well, your mission is your North Star, but your goals are short-term North Stars, like the moon. You gotta focus on something in the short term as well, and but you still need to take concrete, real actions to get there. And so I would write the top three to five actions that I would have to do to make that goal reality. And so what I'm thinking about updating now, what I want to update with my goal setting process is those actions. I want to incorporate habits. So instead of each action that I need to get done to accomplished a goal, I'm going to be doing what habits do I need to instill in order to make that goal a reality. And so this is how I'm combining goals versus systems. I don't think you could have one or the other. I don't think you can be so habits focused, because if you're just systems and habits focused and nothing else, what are you building your system for? Like what is the habit for? You obviously have you need to build a habit for some long or short-term goal. You don't start exercising every day as a habit unless your goal is to get healthy and fit. So you cannot be just systems focused. If you are, you're lying to yourself, because you have a goal. So let's take a step back. I think you need goals and systems. I talk about this a lot. It's like in my book, I talk about inputs and outputs. If inputs being the actions that you take, maybe in here the systems and habits that you do every day or every week that make an output a reality. So an output might be, if you're a manufacturer, you want to increase your production to 5,000 cars a week. Let's say you're a car manufacturer, 5,000 cars a week, that's the output. That's great. That's good to focus on the output. But now the only way that you make that output a reality is you work hard on improving the inputs. Either you make process improvements on the inputs. Maybe it's a new machine that needs to be more efficient. Maybe you need more machines, but you need to work on the inputs that make that output a reality. And to me, goals versus systems is really just inputs and outputs. Goals are outputs. What are the outputs that I want in my life? Inputs are the systems. What are the habits and actions that I'm going to take every single day to make that output a reality? And it's a constant honing and refinement process. You don't always know what inputs are going to work and what aren't going to work, and it's got to be changed regularly. If you focus on inputs very aggressively and you're working hard at it, and your output is not making any progress, then maybe you need to change the inputs that you're thinking. And so I think they're both important. You need to focus on your inputs to make your outputs a reality. And I will end it off there. I'd love to hear if anyone else has any differing opinions or thoughts. I want to know what your take on this whole goals versus system thing is. What do you think? Goals versus systems. What do you think? Love to hear it. Also, we have a word of the day. Let's get our word of the day out. Our word of the day is zing. This is a funny one. Zing. Energy, enthusiasm, or liveliness. Get your zing on, people. In a sentence, he was expected to add some zing to the lackluster team. All right? Get your zing on and focus on your inputs. Set goals for your outputs. And get your damn zing on, people. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Have a good rest of your day. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on this channel. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy. Bye, everyone.